ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We have the second mantra in section 16. Section 16, I think. No, section 15. Yeah. Second mantra here. Yeah. But I'll read both because they are kind of connected. So, Atha Brahma Yajna Nirnayah. Now, a discussion or an ascertainment on what is in the common parlance known as Brahma Yajna, but of course the author has his own spin on what constitutes this Brahma Yajna, because we are looking at everything metaphorically. To continue the discussion, we have already seen verse number 1 and the first word of verse number 2. Ahimsa satyamasteyam brahmacharya parigrahau iti panchangulimayah yan yamanamatu satkarah shaucham santoshaswadhyayah tapa ishvara dharana iti panchangulimayah niyamo nama satkarah. Here is a nice play on Yama, on the concepts of Yama and Niyama in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And so we have seen how he says that these five principles which come under Yama constitute the fingers of one hand. Ahimsa, Satya, truth, Asteya, non-stealing, Brahmacharya, discipline, and then aparigraha, not desiring or taking things that do not belong to you. And then that is one hand. The second hand, the fingers of the second hand constitute the following values. One is Shaucham, which we have discussed in detail, both inner and outer Shaucham. Shaucham means purification. So that we have this thing. And the second one is very important, Santoshaha. That everybody knows the meaning of Santosha. In fact, many boys in the tradition are named Santosh. And if you go to Punjab, it's even women's name. They have unisex names. So, and then, so what is this Santosha? Tush means contentment. And if you add sun to it, that means like a burgeoning contentment. A contentment that is where there is cheerfulness. Santosha, cheerfulness. And this is a value. This is comes under niyama. Because this is an extension from Shaucha, really. Because Shaucha means cleanliness, purification. So the purification is of two kinds, inner and outer purification. And then that purification should lead to Santosha, naturally, because there is no clutter all around you and there is no clutter of the raga dveshas within. Those are the two reasons to that should naturally bring out the happy person, the contented person. What is it, so what are the conditions that bring out the happy person, if you ask? Because the happy person is you. You don't need to fulfill a desire to be happy. You don't need for something else to change in order to be happy. You are already happy. That is the teaching. That happiness, that santosha, that contentment is centered on you. And so, if it is there as a latent possibility, what are the conditions that bring it out? This is a very important question to discuss, because now we can look at this. There is this American wish. When you meet somebody and when you say goodbye, what do you say? Have a nice day. Have a good day. And from the standpoint of the Vedic standpoint, I took a long time to understand this. What is this wish? I mean, it's a nice wish. May your day be nice, but then the day is the day. The day is neither bad nor good, it simply is. So, what is this wish really? What is this kind of a wish? What am I wishing for my friend when I wish him or her, have a wonderful day, have a great day, have a nice day? That means there is something there. So the day keeps on unfolding. And this is just this is my commentary on this have a nice day wish, which is very pertinent to this verse. So the day keeps on unfolding. Day means what? Bhagavan. For us, everything is Bhagavan. So this day is Bhagavan in the form of Divakaraha, in the form of the sun, which has started the day. And so the day keeps on unfolding, bringing with it what? Your own prarabdha, your own karmas. Every day has its karma. Morning goes extremely well. And by afternoon, the sun sets early. Oh, sun sets early where? The inner sun, the sun-like disposition. Astam yati, it starts to set. Why? Something happened. I don't know. And then, so there was some kind of an eclipse. So the sun set, the inner sun set early, and then there was some kind of a gloomy feeling. Then what about the evening? Something set me off. And so I spent the evening in terror and inner fear. This is the day. Usually, morning, oh, theek hai, and sometimes morning, not theek hai, it's not okay. And then by the afternoon, the mood kind of improves, only for somebody to come along and say something or cut you off mid sentence or do something, and then to cause some kind of a wrath or ire on your part. So in the wake of this unfoldment of karma, at the first sight, it appears that one is completely not, not prepared for this onslaught, and then unable to make peace with this onslaught or come out of from under the karmic onslaught of what constitutes one day. But then, have a nice day means that there is some agency on your part. ah, it's in your hands to have a nice day, because this is a imperative mode. You must have a nice day. Nobody says, please, won't you please have a nice day? It's just an order. The wish is in the form of an imperative mode. Like Matra Devo Bhava, be the one to whom the mother is an incarnation of the Lord. Bhava, be. And here, have. Have a nice day. Very interesting. Have means what? You must have. Have a nice day. It's not an option here. It's an injunction. It's a friendly injunction because it is coming from a friend, a well-wisher. Have a nice day, meaning it is really up to you to have a nice day. It's not up to the forces. The forces will come, they will do something or the other. Always, if you read the news, there will be the following things. You can look at all the news, and there will be all these things which make up the ingredients of a website, a news website, or what is it called, a newspaper, New York Times, whatever it is. So these are the ingredients. There will be some conflict or war going on in some corner of the world. True. The same is true right now as well. Right now, there is a war going on. Then there will be some scandal that is also there right now. And so some scandal will be there. And then somebody will be indicted. And they will be forced to resign, but they will resign very reluctantly or not resign at all. Then there will be some kind of a sensational, like some kind of a heist, somebody planning something and defrauding, somebody else of, millions. Lots of people, they are defrauded, for no reason at all. Poor things, they were just leading their lives, and they thought there's some investment scheme is coming. They thought they will invest their money, and then it's not a hedge fund, it's a hedgy fund. And then all the money is gone like this. So there will be some kind of a scandal or the other, some way, and then these, and then some people will die because there will be some dead people will be there. Why? Because there is some earthquake, some natural disasters, and of course the weather is never conducive. These are the things that constitute the newspaper. This is what the newspaper is. And news websites also same thing. Pujya Swamiji gave himself a challenge because he thought that he was getting very addicted to the news, which is very easy to do because somehow one is so focused outside that one is always constantly interacting with the news and wondering what happened, kya hua, kya hua. Nothing happened, same old, more of the same. So in those days, Pujya Swamiji did not have news, whatever these Twitter and social media and websites. So it was just the physical newspaper, and he would enjoy reading it, and he was always reading it. So he decided to give himself a challenge. He marked the day and he said, from tomorrow, I'm not reading the newspaper for one whole year. So let's say he stopped on March 26th, and then, till the next year, March 25th, he did not read the newspaper. And out of curiosity, he picked up the paper on March 26th the following year, and then it was the same news. Some earthquake, some natural calamity, some disaster, or some kind of a sex scandal or some kind of a scandal, and then some other, people oppressing somebody else, some buildings falling down, then some heist, some kind of, robbers and adharmic people making life difficult for everybody else. Same thing. So then he understood that this is what, Jagat is. This is what Jagat is. And so, therefore, it is in my hands to not be affected by the unfolding of individual or collective karma. Sometimes many times, why sometimes? Many times, the individual and the collective karma are intertwined. They are totally intertwined. And so, this santosha is a way to not get uh, discombobulated when something appears to be wrong on the outside. Things will always go wrong. Naturally, things will go wrong. That is life. Life means something or the other will be wrong. And then, even if it is not wrong, I think it is wrong. Yeah, there is where the subjectivity comes, because the person is not a clean slate. the person is very much coming from one's own raga, one's own dvesha, one's own agenda of how they want the world to go, how they want it to be. And if the world is not cooperating, then what happens? Depression sets in. And so one is unable to have a nice day. So, this is what santosha is. So, how to interrupt that? How to interrupt that and actually have a nice day? This is a very interesting question. So, santosha means somehow to tap into that latent atmananda, the ananda that is centered on the I. And if ananda is too far a cry, if it is inaccessible, how to at least command a certain cheerfulness. This becomes a very primary question. And equipped with this cheerfulness, one can really face whatever challenges that come. So the first thing to do is to really change the parameters of how one engages with the world. Generally, we engage with the world with the eyes of raga and dvesha. Left eye raga, right eye dvesha, or right eye raga, left eye dvesha. You look at something for 1 minute and immediately pain starts to emerge. Why? Because I want it and I can't have it. Or I want it, but it belongs to somebody else. Or I had it, but I didn't like it. Or I don't want it and I want to get rid of it. Something or the other happens. And so therefore, this needs to be this raga dvesha cataract needs to be corrected. Needs to be corrected. But how? Raga dveshas are ensconced in one's own heart. And in fact, you can say, I'm not the only one with likes and dislikes. Look at that one. That one has more likes and dislikes than I. Look at this one. This one is full of likes and dislikes. Why me? Why should I change? And this, of course, becomes a kind of a deterrent to initiate change. And so what to do? Go to the Bhagavad Gita. Sarvesham buddhau ragadveshau vyavasthitau. And the first line here in this verse appears to confirm what I already know and what I already said. In every buddhi, in every heart, raga and dvesha are there. Vyavasthitau means this is Bhagavan's arrangement. And you see this in a 1-month-old child. Somebody picks it up, it doesn't like it, it'll belt out a big cry. Even from those tiny lungs, you hear a huge cry. And then it goes to somebody who holds it properly and it's comfortable. And then it'll just be quiet. And so it starts very small. So, Sarvesham Buddhau, in every buddhi, even in the tiny buddhi of the child, raga and dvesha are there. Then, so this is a license to continue having raga dvesha well, because Bhagavan put them there. It's not my problem, it is Bhagavan's problem, because vyavastha means what? This is the arrangement. Well, read the fine print. What is the second line? Tayoho vashamna agachet tauhi asya paripanthinau. Please, Arjuna, says Lord Krishna, even though the arrangement is thus, do not come under their spell. Do not come under the raga and the dvesha spell, because they are your enemies. They are the enemies of this sadhaka who is trying to follow Yoga Sutra, who is trying to have a cheerful mind, a cheerful disposition. This is inimical to anything you want to do because it comes in the way. And that is why it needs correction, needs to be corrected, because it is in your hands. Even though the arrangement is a certain way, it is in your hands, and it is your responsibility to make sure that the raga dveshas don't spill over in every interaction. And so, how to do that? The first thing to do in order to manage the raga dveshas is to make sure that all the desires that one has are non-binding desires, desires that do not enslave you. That is the idea. Because if the desires have this mastery over the heart, then they will call the shots, and they will make sure that one is miserable. So therefore, the desires are there, but then I am, on top of it. I am the one in the driver's seat. The desires do not drive me crazy. And this, we have talked about this a little in detail, so I can go a little faster here. And what is the way to do this? How to make the binding desires into non-binding desires? Practice delayed gratification. If you say, I'm going to give up all desires, then you'll be left holding the bag of desires. They will not leave you, they will come back with a vengeance. So, this is what even in the parenting practices they say. You parent how? By practicing delayed, allowing the child to have what it wants. But if it wants something yesterday, give it something day after tomorrow. That is what it is. This is how the young children talk in America. I want this yesterday, meaning I've already waited for so long, it's not here. So 3 more days, day after tomorrow, you give it. So this delayed gratification, what does it do? It has a lot of, it has a lot of regulatory. It regulates the emotion. It has a regulatory effects over all recalcitrant and difficult to manage emotions. First of all, it teaches patience, because I know I can have it, but I'm not going to let myself have it right now. I want it yesterday, but I'll give it to myself day after tomorrow. It teaches patience without making one feel bereft and devoid of that. So, that is a very important thing. And the second thing the delayed gratification does is that the raga dveshas get worn out by the time you actually enjoy it. Because the raga and dvesha come, why? Because there is some pain there. And the pain is because of Atma Ajnanam. So raga dveshas are because of Atma Ajnanam. And so if you practice deferred gratification, then what happens in the process? Like, the raga dvesha, the raga is an excuse. The dvesha, the strong likes and dislikes are an excuse. They are just the throw up of Atma Ajnanam. And then, when you don't immediately attend to it, many of them just die away. And 4 or 5 days later, when you think, oh, 5 days ago, I really wanted this so badly, what about now? Ah, it's okay. Without it, also, I can be. And this doesn't have just to do with things, this has to do with beliefs, notions, arguments, ideas, ideology, all these things that one holds dear and one has to be correct, and even the desire to be correct and right all the time, the desire to mind other people's businesses. These are all kind of abstract desires. The desire to control how other people sit, stand, walk, and eat. All these things should happen. I have to do this. All these things, all these desires, they also just sort of just die away like a tumor that has been cauterized. Sometimes, there is a tumor, and then it's not very easy to operate. It's in a place which is not easy to operate, or it's the person cannot withstand an operation. So what do? The vein that is feeding the tumor is just tied up there. The blood supply is curtailed to the tumor. And then what does it do? It shrivels up, shrinks, dies away. Of course, in the moment, it causes a lot of pain, I hear, but this is exactly how it is. So the ragadvesha tumor, not really needed, and what should I say, harmful to the person. So the tumor of strong prejudices and preferences is also likewise cauterized by withdrawing the awareness from it. That awareness of constantly contemplating on that desire gives it strength, gives it the blood supply, nourishes it, and it grows bigger and bigger and bigger. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. This whole life cycle of what happens with the desires is given in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. For the person constantly contemplating on the desire. Dhyayataha pumsam. For the person who is doing dhyana, who is meditating upon, contemplating upon that object of desire all the time. Then what happens? That desire, which was in the form of a fancy. The fancy is a embryonic desire. It's not fully fledged. Yet it's not fully developed. It doesn't have a mind. It doesn't have a brain. It doesn't have hands and legs. It's not able to live outside of the mind really yet. And so now what? Then you keep nourishing it. You give it good food. It grows. And what is the good food? Obsessively thinking about it. That is the nourishment. And then it becomes a full-fledged desire. And then it expresses itself in the form, I cannot live without this. This is how it expresses itself. Sangaha means an attachment to that outcome or to that desire is born. Sangaha means a kind of a stickiness, a kind of a clinging to the outcome, clinging to for that desire to fruition is born. And then that clinginess makes one want something even more. Because by now, one is convinced I cannot live without this. And then what happens? You don't get it. That's what happens. Why? Karma. So many hidden variables. You took care of all the variables you could handle. But then there were always the hidden variables. Hidden variable is a pet name for Bhagavan, Ishvara, God. That is what a hidden variable is. So Ishvara comes and stealthily attacks in the form of the law of karma and makes you not have that desire. Then what happens? Then this is what happens. So Ishvara comes and then in the form of karma, you didn't get the desire. That's the outcome. If you don't get what you want, what do you get? You get angry. That's what happens. You don't get what you want, anger comes. The root of all anger is not having what you want or what you wanted in the past. So that is the root of it. So desire, thwarted desire leads to anger. And then anger leads to, delusion. Delusion means one is so obsessed over the desire, one forgets. And because of this delusion, one forgets who one is, what are my goals, what are my ambitions, why have I become enslaved to this one particular thing, and then why am I letting this run my life? So, sammoha, because of the delusion, smriti vibhramaha, my own idea of who I am. Here it's not Satchidananda. Here it's just the regular, idea of who this I is. I am so and so. I have these goals. I have these ambitions. I have these values. All that is forgotten. When that is forgotten, the buddhi bhramsha takes place, buddhi nasha takes place. The buddhi, the faculty of the mind, that is a decisive faculty that leads you to on the path of the dharma, on the righteous paths, is destroyed. And when the buddhi is destroyed, the person is as good as destroyed. This is the trajectory of all desires which are not managed. Therefore, the deferred gratification makes one have some inner space with which to conduct an inquiry into the desire. Why is this desire there? What to do, etc., etc. It gives some inner space, and it puts you again in the driver's seat. In a car that has been hijacked, sometimes what happens, you are driving but suddenly some terrible looking goons come and make you stop the car. They get into the driver's seat, push you to the passenger seat and drive off. And then you are trying to hold the steering wheel, you are trying to come on this side, and then you're trying to let's say drop them from the car. This happens in some kind of movie chases and all these things you can see. So it's just like that. There is a battle for supremacy. There is a battle to be in the driver's seat, and depending upon how this battle goes is your command of santosha. Santosha means cheerfulness. So the first, upaya, the first remedy is deferred gratification. And the second one is cultivating a mindset that is non-judgmental. And judgment is again feeds the raga and dvesha. So cultivating a mindset that is non-judgmental. Normally what happens, somebody just approaches us. You're just walking on the road, somebody is coming towards you. Immediately, one sizes up that individual. Oh, are they just walking or are they coming to me? And how are they dressed? Oh, homeless person? No, no, no. Okay, they are decently dressed. But what do they want? What do they want from me? And I don't know. I think I just need to avoid them because I'm already late for work, and then I'll miss the train, miss the bus, whatever it is, or I'll get late. I'm walking to my car to drive to work and I'll get late. So better not, tell them anything. Better just quickly get into the car, get into the train, whatever it is, and avoid eye contact at all costs. This is how one leads one's life. There is a judgment, there is a series of judgments that this person, okay, they may not be after my handbag or wallet, okay, they don't seem to be like that, but at the same time they want something from me. They want something from me which I don't have the time to give, which I do not want to give, which I don't want to give, which I don't have the time to give. And and so therefore what? Therefore, duck, avoid, run away. And this is how one leads the life generally. And that is because there is a judgment. The judgment is somebody is approaching me and they want something. And so a person told me that she felt she was being followed. And she looked and there was a man behind. And then she walked faster and faster and faster. The man also walked faster and faster and faster. And she said, "Oh no, I'm going to be attacked. Something is terrible. What does he want? It's terrible." And she just, was running, running, running. He also was running, running, running. And then what happened? Then she just turned around because she was so afraid. She was paralyzed. And she was face to face with him. And then he said, "Oh my God, thank God you stopped. There in that other shop, when you were buying something, you dropped $100 bill. That's what I'm trying to return from the last so many yards." This is what is called giving the run for the money. Okay, literally. This is what it was. And then she was like, oh, all smiles. Oh, thank you, thank you. How nice, how nice, how nice. And so, like this, there is distrust, there is fear, and with good reason. I'm not saying that this is one must stop having good boundaries, healthy boundaries, or protecting oneself. That's not what I'm advocating. Through this and other examples, I'm just illustrating how before even any encounter we have already made up our minds about what somebody wants. And so this is just illustrating judgment. And this judgment is there all the time. And the judgment is very much in line with the raga and the dvesha, the strong prejudices and preferences. Dvesha and raga. Dvesha, prejudices, raga, preferences. So if the raga, dvesha were printing a daily newspaper, this would what it would look like. It would look in the form of judgments. This is their mouthpiece. This is their expression. This is what it is. They just, put one edict. Okay, this person is idiot. That thing is no good. And this is how one talks. You just spend 5 minutes in anybody's company, immediately the conversation deteriorates and devolves into passing judgment about the weather, about the whole jagat, about what is happening, and then about other jivas in the jagat. This person is so and so. And I don't like to associate with that person. Why? Because they gossip all the time. What are you doing now? You can ask the person who says that. How are you different? You're gossiping about the gossip, means you're gossiping already. And then there is, there is that, what is that? There is this, uh, there is even judgment about Ishvara. I'm not getting what I want. This Ishvara is no good. And this is what it is. Like this, the whole day goes with just dropping judgment after judgment after judgment after judgment. But when we spend time in the company of saints and sages, it is characterized by a total zero judgment. That is how my experience with my Guru was. Even in the most frustrating of situations, where it was not even a judgment, where you could see that somebody had not just dropped the ball, but created a lot of animosity in a particular situation. Even if one was right about it, even if it was an objective statement that this person is really creating a lot of nuisance, not a word would pass Pujya Swamiji's lips. Not one word. And one time I was with him, it was such a frustrating situation. A whole conference had been organized to discuss some books and some what Indic writings, etc., etc. And the organizer had been very well paid to organize this, to all the expenses and everything. And when we went there, myself along with, I tagged along with Pujya Swamiji, when we arrived there, no arrangement had been made. All the people, were hither and thither. Nobody had been registered. They didn't know where to go. They didn't know where their rooms were. They were just, they didn't know what time the registration was. They didn't know what time the plenary session was. And the chief guest who had been invited, they had not been told what time to come. So like this, it was just all complete. I mean, there was no organization. The so-called organizer just arrived as a guest. That's all. And he was relaxing in his room. Then finally, somehow, we ran around, and then Pujya Swamiji made some calls and did, made some arrangements for food and everything. And then finally, and so somehow we gathered the people. I had to go knocking from room to room and say, okay, the plenary session is in 5 minutes. Please come, please come, please come. And of course, everything was late, all because of this person. And this person just assumed the place where the organizer sits. He sat there, and he was just showing off how well everything was going and all this. And then, just before the plenary was to start, there was still 15 minutes. We had decided to delay everything so that people had a chance to, they had arrived from many places, so they had a chance to relax and take a shower or whatever and get there. And then I could not hold my tongue any longer. I had finally, I just, turned to Pujya Swamiji and said, you know, oh my God, Pujya Swamiji. I said, what is going on? What is this? And, this was, I said, this is such a brainchild of yours. This is such a good conference. It could be, the guests are so wonderful. And then, what is this? What shall we do, or something like that. I was frustrated. I didn't blame the man, but it was very clear that that's what I was doing, without saying as much. And all that Pujya Swamiji did was go like this, face palm. And then what else did he? He just said like this. He just very briefly pointed to the man, just briefly, meaning, and that said everything. Yes, I am with you. He wanted to validate this. And he said, yes, this is a problem. That's all. This is a problem. Perhaps we should not repeat this again. That's all it was. There was just zero expression. Zero expression. And this is, I have seen this many, many times. And when Aim for Seva, All India Movement for Seva started, then also there were so many situations where people were just given the money to start something and they just made off with the money in the beginning. And in one such situation, I went and complained to Pujya Swamiji. I said, what is this? This person has made off with the money. What to do? Because he sent me to inspect this self-help group. There was no help. There was no self, nothing. He said he had built a building. There was no building. The place was just locked up and in rubbles. It was in rubble. Could not be used. He said he had renovated it. That was not correct. And where were all the women stitching and doing embroidery? There was not a single person there. And so when I went back and reported, I was just saying, this is outrageous. This is terrible. And so much money has, thousands of rupees, hundreds of thousands of rupees have been just gone. And then, then Pujya Swamiji turned to me and asked me a question. He said, let's say you want some honey and you are unable to keep the bees because, of course, you don't want to get stung. And then what will you do? You will hire a beekeeper. Then you are walking around the garden where the beehives are kept, and you see the person harvesting the honey. And he has kept a bottle there for you, and he squeezes the honeycomb, and whatever excess is there, he licks it, and then he puts it in his own bottle. What are you going to do? I said, fire him right away. He said, no, you will look the other way. You will look the other way. Why? Because this is the way of the world. It takes time for people to walk on the path of dharma. I just found this so moving. It was not a statement of helplessness or weakness or dependency. It was just giving that person time to turn around and holding them in the best light possible, even in the face of numerous transgressions. This is the way of saintliness. Numerous transgressions. And to finish that story, the man came back after 1.5 years, 18 months later, sobbing at Pujya Swamiji's feet and said, I don't even know how to face you. I have done so many terrible things and I'm very sorry. I said, no problem. Start the self-help group now. This is what it was. And that is something, if you say, oh, I can't do that, that maybe, saints can do this, holy people can do this in any tradition. That is what it takes to be a saint. Saints can do this, I can't do this. Well, the stories of saints are there to inspire. To inspire so that one is able to tread in their footsteps. Even if their shoes are too big, you can still try them on. You can still walk in them a little bit. You can shuffle along even if you cannot walk. This is the idea. So this non-judgment, the stopping finding fault, always this fault finding mission of the jiva, this has to stop. This has to stop in order to command some santosha. Otherwise, no santosha. No santosha at any time will be there. And so, therefore, this is something which can be cultivated on one's own. Because the tendency is really not to find fault. But the fault finding tendency is superimposed upon that ajnanam. What's it called? It's a imposter. It's an imposter that is masquerading as the I. It's superimposed, and so therefore it is a outcome of this atma ajnanam, self ignorance, and therefore it has to be let go of. This is, I cannot emphasize this enough, because otherwise, the fault finding mission will just lead one down the drain of sorrow. Where is santosha? Because the more fault one finds, the more sorrowful life becomes. You just try it. If you haven't tried it yet, try it and see what will happen. This is what will happen. It's a downward slope into a spiral of misery. Spiral because it keeps gathering more and more misery. This is what happens. And so the fault finding, how to stop the fault finding? See, the fault finding is two ways. Usually, it's easy to find fault with the situation with other people. And then sometimes the fault finding turns within. So one is constantly busy putting oneself down and putting the whole world down. Both of them are dangerous. Putting yourself down is also a kind of a judgment, self judgment, and fault finding. And so both of these have to be terminated. In fact, spirituality begins when I stop blaming myself and others for my situation, or the universe for my own situation. And so to drop that fault finding, there is a nice exercise that one can do. One can have an only appreciation, no criticism day. No criticism, only appreciation day. You can have that. Make that a weekend, so that you have to deal with the family, and then you have to not find fault with anything they do. Nothing at all. And in fact, you have to convert any kind of criticism that is coming in your heart into an appreciation. How does that look? Oh, you are so slothful and lazy. You don't even react. This is what you want to say. But what do you actually say? You're so relaxed. You're never stressed at any given time. You convert that into an appreciation. Of course, in the beginning, it will come with gritted teeth because you don't want to do this. This is against the very fiber of all the ragadveshas that you are nursing. You do not want to do this, even if you are paid. You don't want to do this. You cannot stand it. You don't want to do this. You feel like, this is all wrong. Convert it into an appreciation. This is what Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi did. One time the ashram was Ramana Ashram, it is called, and the ashram, some robbers came with huge sticks, very big sticks, clubs, and they just beat up everybody, including Maharshi. He got two hits on the legs, and then he advised the people, just come to my room, sit, we will lock the door, let them take whatever they want. And then they pounded the door, they came inside and they looked, there was nothing in his room. And then they went away, they hit him twice and they hit everybody else. And then people were crying, "Oh, you have a bruise on your foot, you have a bruise on the other leg." And he just laughed it off. And he said, that was the thief's way of doing Pada Puja. Meaning that was the thief's way of worshipping my feet. That was the thief's way. This is what it is. And so this is how we learn from the holy people how to convert the pain and the judgment into appreciation, how to convert a critique into criticism, into appreciation. That is what it takes. In the beginning, one does that with gritted teeth. In the beginning, it is very, very difficult. It feels deliberate and it does not feel natural. But with experience and with practice, with abhyasa, with practice, it becomes one's own being. So but then the question arises, if other people are being judgmental, what do I do? Simply be silent. First of all, walk away. You don't have to sit there. Nobody's tied you down. Nobody has abducted you and tied you up and locked you up. No. But if for some reason you cannot leave, or you feel like you cannot leave, remain silent. Remain silent. Do not participate. It is in your it is in your hands not to participate. No, but the tongue is trying to come out of the mouth. Make it say Rama each time. The tongue comes out of the mouth, make it say Rama. Why? This way you are spared from the drama. Less drama, more Rama. That is what we want in life. More the presence of the Lord, less of drama, more the goddess, less drama. Say your mantra, say Rama. In fact, just say Rama. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. If you say Rama, then you immediately remember, okay, because Rama is very close to drama, the word wise. Yeah. Lord Rama is not close to drama, but the word Rama is close to drama. And so here you learn to drop the drama and replace it with Rama. So you just be silent. And if there is a pressure to talk, pressure to say something, repeat Rama silently. Really, it's amazing. Rama means that in which the yogis revel, in which the saints revel, that Atma. Rama is a word for Atma. And so when you repeat Rama, Rama, you are going within and what should I say? You're like a water diviner. What a water diviner? They carry this stick and then it trembles as soon as only in their hands. If you carry it, nothing will happen. But they have that way of finding out where the water is. And so it's like that. When you say Rama, Rama, it takes you to the aquifer of Santosha, that inner Santosha. It takes you to that. Very, very beautiful. So Rama, 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 you say you don't participate in it. Don't participate in taking down somebody all the time. Don't participate in the criticism. Because the criticizer, you may not be the main criticizer, but as soon as you participate, you feel tired, you feel drained, you feel upset. And in the family, if a whole day of no criticism, only appreciation is difficult, make it half a day. Make it for 1 hour. Start with 1 hour. If it's a very, very difficult situation, start with 1 hour. Start with half an hour. Anything to interrupt. No amount is too small. Anything to interrupt this litany of abuse, criticism, self-criticism, self-judgment, judgment on others. Who needs that? And this comes against santosha. And then then the next thing is to interrupt some kind of a bad mood that suddenly descends from the unconscious mind. That's why it's called unconscious, because you don't know it is here. You don't know it has come, but it is here. So you're not able to stop it before the bad mood has descended. But it is here already now. What to do? So this is, do a, this is what Pujya Swamiji used to say, fake it and make it. Actually, you're not faking it because santosha is your nature. In fact, dukkha is faking it. Whenever you are sad, you are faking it. But here, the sorrow is already here and it appears to be real. So you as though fake it and make it, in the sense that you start smiling. You first relax the brow. You stop frowning. Stop scowling. And somebody said it takes 47 facial muscles to scowl and only 18 facial muscles to smile. See, this is a this is what is called a anti-wrinkle, advice. So, if you want your face to be looking youthful, this is just for fun, okay? Yeah. And so, if you want your face to not be all contorted, this is the way. Relax the brow, relax the relax the forehead, relax the eyes, relax the mouth, relax. Let the tongue be heavy where it belongs, sitting in between the cage of the teeth. The teeth is a cage for the tongue so that it doesn't always come out and say things it's not meant to. It's already in prison. It's already in a Bhagavan made prison of 2 rows of teeth. Even if they are dentures, they are still there. They are serving as a prison, as a first line of defense to not just blurt out whatever comes to the mind. Let the tongue be heavy and sink to the bottom of the mouth. And let the shoulders not become earrings. So they're not all crunched up like this. Slowly bring them down and breathe. Breathe from the pit of the stomach all the way to the lower lungs, middle lungs, upper lungs. Take your time to breathe. It's free, okay? Doesn't cost money. Breathe. And then when you breathe in, and then you breathe out after a few deep breaths, what happened to the bad mood? It will be almost gone. Oh, but only almost, yeah, because it's a habit. And so then you practice a small smile. You try to imitate the devatas in the temple. All the devatas, all the icons in the temples, they have a slight smile. Smita Mukha, slight smile. Ishadhasa, slight smile. Because we are not talking of ecstasy and then which is alternating with agony. Ecstasy, no pun intended. Okay, yeah, there is some drug also by the name ecstasy, I hear. I'm not referring to that. So, this is not, we are not wanting to hit the roof and then fall down from the ceiling. That's not the idea. The idea is equanimity. And so a slight smile you practice. Inside the tears are shedding. Doesn't matter. Let that be there. Slight smile. And what about the tears? What about that heaviness? And then offer that heaviness to the Lord. Just say, today, I don't have sweet laddus or happy thoughts to give you. Today, I have this dense iron ball of pain. This is also a laddu, but it's a laddu of pain, a laddu of sorrow, laddu of longing. It's a disastrous laddu. But you know what? You alone can take it. You can take it because that is your nature. Your nature is to transform the poison into amrita. Amrita means immortality. Amrita means nectar. And that is what Lord Shiva did. He took hala hala, which is the represented by which is the metaphor for the collective poison, the collective unconscious, and he swallowed it and did not let it affect him. This is the idea. You offer this laddu of pain and sorrow, this big, dense, hideous ball of pain. And in that offering, there is a transformation, because once it's offered, it doesn't belong to you. You have washed your hands of it. It is Bhagavan's problem. Doesn't belong to you. In this ritualized offering, no longer belongs to you. How? Because you have let go of owning up the sorrow. A disowned sorrow is actually santosha, because it no longer belongs to you. Oh, it's easier to said and done. How can I disown this sorrow? It's not very difficult, because you look at the mind and look at the situation, why the sorrow is coming up. Well, I had a difficult childhood. Okay, you had a difficult childhood. That means what? Given the circumstances of the childhood, for the sorrow to come and for in the adult life is very, very natural. That means what? The sorrow has become part of Bhagavan's psychological order of being. Everything is within the psychological order, the whole gamut of emotions and all the disorders, such as schizophrenia, such as bipolar disease, everything is within the order. Even disorder, the order is so huge and unopposed to duality that even disorder is part of the order. It is a meta order. And in this meta order, this it's no longer your mind. It becomes a fact. It becomes a social fact. Given this abuse, given this neglect, that there will be sorrow is not surprising. So, where is your sorrow now? God. This is what it is. This is how one practices no judgment, and this is how one practices a deliberate and self-enquiry, which leads one to the cultivation of cheerfulness, which is a hallmark, which is a prerequisite for Atma Jnanam. More we'll see in 2 weeks. What is the date of that? Let me just look at the calendar before I let you go, so that everybody knows when to appear next. So today is the 26th. So 9th of April. Okay. April 9th. We will meet here, same place, same time. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः